This here is a remarkable,
Welcome to the Wedding of Distinction podcast, a program for the unique bride and groom. The Wedding of Distinction is a concept where brides and grooms want something better. Not just your average wedding. We have the tools to make that happen. Now, here's your host, Mike Fernino.
Yep, it's me, your friendly neighborhood DJ turned podcast host. Welcome to another edition of the Wedding of Distinction. And today we're going to talk a little bit about wedding trends. They happen every year. Sometimes they hit quick and they go out about as fast as they came in, and sometimes they stick around. Now, having been in the business for almost 4 decades, I'm old, I've seen a lot of trends come and go. Some of them are really good, and some of them, not so much. One such recent trend that I have witnessed is the use of a friend or family member of the couple to officiate their wedding ceremony. Now, things have become very easy, really easy, for someone to go online, take a quick course, and receive a wedding officiant license. Getting one's license may be easy, but public speaking is a totally different animal. Ever try standing up in front of a classroom of your peers? Not easy. Ever try standing up in front of hundreds of people and giving a business presentation? Not easy. Now, let's ramp up the stress level about 100 times because you are officiating your cousin's wedding with 150 guests all watching you. Well, what can go wrong? A whole lot can go wrong. So today on the program, my 2 very special guests are Shelly Armatino and Kathy Vass. Both work as professional wedding celebrants and have mastered the art of the wedding ceremony. In an attempt to help those going it as a novice, they both announce a brand new program to assist those wishing to be a wedding JP and do it the right way with their online Wedding Officiant Bootcamp course. So we're going to get into the nuts and the bolts of this right now with Shelly and Kathy today on the Wedding of Distinction podcast. On the Zoom line today, I have a double dip here. I've got Kathy, and Kathy is with Ever After Ceremonies. And of course, we have our friend Shelly, Married by Shelly, both professional wedding officiants. And we're going to talk a little bit about why having a professional and experienced wedding officiant is really a great way to go for the wedding ceremony versus, as I had mentioned in the monologue, the wedding trend of the friend of the friend going online and getting certified. So anyway, Kathy, Shelly, welcome to the program today. How are you, ladies?
Great. Thanks for having us, Mike.
Shelly, how long have you been a wedding officiant?
Well, I've been a wedding officiant, Justice of the Peace for 14 years. Yeah, so it's been a minute.
About how many have you done?
Hundreds. I can't even count. It might even be close to 1,000.
Kathy, how about you? How many years you been in the business?
I started in 2018, so I'm a little bit less than Shell, but so I'm coming into my 7th season right now. I don't know how many. I'm definitely over 100, but under 200. I kind of don't really worry about the volume since everyone is one at a time. But I probably track about between 25 and 30 weddings a year.
Right.
Full service weddings.
Now, Kathy, in being that you've been doing this about 7 years, can you definitively tell me how it felt in the very beginning versus now? Because it's public speaking. How you feel now speaking in front of a large group of people versus when you first started?
That's a great question. It's funny because you probably will hear the history of a lot of us and I know that this is a little bit the case for Shelly, is that a lot of us who became professional officiants got asked, kind of this topic we're talking about, got asked by a friend or family member to do their wedding, and then they got the bug and decided to make a business out of it. And I am not that. I'm that random person who just out of the blue one day was like, I want to marry people. And I did the research on how to do it. So my first wedding was a paid wedding for my business. And I remember having that fear of public speaking where I had done all the homework and I'd done all the preparation and planned everything with my client. And then my brain went, oh, I have to talk in front of people now. Mm-hmm. And it was fine. But I think the comfort that I have is that I I picture it as I'm not really doing a lecture like a TED Talk. I have these two individuals who are the barrier between me and the guests, and I'm really more having a conversation. I'm storytelling with them, and other people are just happening to watch. And and it does kind of surprise me after this many years how in the beginning, and especially with someone like you who is a professional DJ, in the beginning, I think I would plead with the DJs like, hey, can you do the opening announcements for me? Can you tell them to shut off their phones? And now it's like somebody will tell me like, I'm like, I got it. So there's definitely a comfort level.
And Shelly, you're an outgoing, gregarious, and very warm person and a great public speaker. Did you ever have any, fears and jitters speaking in front of people?
Actually, I still get them now, even after all the ceremonies that I've done. I've always been asked by my fellow friends, can you do this eulogy at my grandmother's funeral? And can you, officiate my wedding and things like that? So for me, even like, tonight I have a wedding ceremony that I'm doing in front of, I think, 250 people, but I'm still got that jittery, nervousy, crazy feeling and wondering what I'm going to expect tonight. And if something goes wrong while I'm driving there, meaning while I'm there, so on my trip to the ceremony, I'm sitting back and thinking, okay, if this scenario happens, you have to do this. If this scenario happens, you have to do that. So it's always that crazy feeling inside and the what ifs just before a ceremony. And I don't, it doesn't matter if it's just 2 people or it's 250 people or 500 people. It's the same thing for me.
So, ladies, what goes into preparation for a wedding ceremony? What's involved on your end?
Well, there's a lot in preparation. It just depends on the type of officiant that you are. I think Kathy and I are very similar in a lot of ways where we really prepare for our couples. We're invested in our ceremonies as much as our couples want to be. We want the couples to meet with us. We want to get to know their love story. We have questionnaires. We're asking about the logistics of your ceremony, who your DJs are, who your photographers are, with wedding planners. We are coordinating behind the scenes with that. So we are doing that before the ceremony and the day of. We meet with our clients. We go over a couple questionnaires. We take, I don't know, Kat, how many hours do you take? 7 hours to write a ceremony. And then we're circling back with that couple to make sure what we wrote is comfortable for them. There's a lot of steps that go into it before, because it's funny. Somebody yesterday said to me, oh, hey, you show up for, a half hour and then you're gone. I'm like, yeah, but there's a lot of prep before that happens. Certainly, with the couple and obviously reaching out to other vendors and that kind of stuff. So, while I think we are able to make the job look more seamless and easy, and I think maybe that's why someone else is more apt to say, hey, I can do that. This is what I'm going to do, get ordained online. And then, and then here we are. I'm going to officiate a ceremony, but they're not really prepared for what happens at the last minute. And like I said, on my way to a ceremony, I'm in the car going over those scenarios.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely echo that. I calculated it in recent years. And I think from initial consult before even booking to mailing the license, I'm probably putting in an average of 20 hours per couple. And that may seem like a lot, but it's exactly what Shell said, that it is. And not all we can't stress enough, not all officiants do this. I think we both do a certain level of detail in preparation and a certain level of customization in our love story and our writing, because that's the level of experience not only that we want as business owners and as officiants, but that we want to provide. And I have tried to say, oh, how can I, maybe I should do less, but I don't want to, because I feel like the experience is not as a good quality. So between meeting with them, I prefer to do audio recorded interviews so my couples don't have to do homework and answer long sheets of questions. And so we really do get to know them. And I think, Shelly, you've probably had this compliment too, that we find the best result is at the end of the wedding or ceremony, when guests mistake us for family or a friend. When someone comes up to me and says, how long have you known the couple? Did you go to college with them? Are you a cousin? That's like mission accomplished, Because if they think that I'm that person, then I dove deep enough with that couple to really provide that, picture. So,
and it's definitely not something that AI can establish, that kind of connection. So.
Don't get us wrong. We'll be honest. At least for me, I have used a Chat GPT once in a while for a writer's block. Mm-hmm. It is not something that you use to write an entire ceremony. Please, everyone out there, both lay people and professionals alike, please don't do that. But once in a while, you'd be like, rewrite this paragraph so that I don't repeat this word 3 times. And
I'm waiting for the world's first AI DJ. That'll happen, I'm sure. God. But anyway, that's another topic.
Sure.
So here's where I've laid this down and kind of set it up of our topic, which is the casualness, the ease that now exists for people to go online and take a course to become ordained and qualified to do a ceremony, generally for their friends. As a professional wedding DJ, I've run into this more and more so over the last couple of years, where the cousin of the groom or a friend of the family or an uncle or a brother, sister, which is lovely, but they've gone and they've taken an online course. And
sometimes they don't even do that.
Yeah, well, I think I've seen that too. There's just no way. I mean, I think back to my very first wedding that I did, that I could possibly take that and compare that to what I can do now 30 plus years later. Same thing, with both of you ladies. So you've come up with an idea that I thought was sensational to help people if they're just, I would always recommend getting a professional, an experienced professional, and you've given some good reason why. But for those who are just hell-bent on doing it themselves, you've got a little program that you are now going to put forth, and let's talk about that a little bit today.
Well, the first thing I want to touch on before we talk about the details of that program is that the research we did before deciding to even create a program like this. Because I think the misconception that we had, I know I had, in the officiant community was that, folks are doing this out of a budget thing. They want to kind of, they don't want to pay another person, or they think because it's so easy to get ordained, like it's no big deal. And after doing a lot of research, a lot of polling, wedding professionals, planners, and past brides and Facebook groups and all over the place, what we learned was there is some of that, but the larger majority is people who really want a very specific person. They want to honor somebody with this role. Just as you would honor someone as a best man or a maid of honor, I would hear stories like, my 6th grade English teacher I was so close to her, and she knows my story with my husband because we're both blah, 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 blah. And I want her to do it. She's a great writer. So when you hear those stories where these people want a very specific person, there's nothing that we can do as professionals to solve for that. We are not going to be their person, and that's okay. Like, I think we believe that you should still have the right to have who you choose marry you. But then we took a step back and to see all the problems you've seen, I'm sure, Mike, and that we've seen as well, that like, okay, well, then now let's prepare these individuals, because it isn't just writing a book report about the couple. There's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah, I've seen it where it's almost like they were being thrown to the lions. Cousin of the groom literally coming up to me 5 minutes before the ceremony. What do I do? What do I do? He's shaking. He's sweating. If I could give him Valium, I'd give him Valium on the site.
Oh, dear.
And you could tell that he was sort of coerced into doing that.
I definitely, would mirror what Kathy had to say. There's plenty of reasons why we thought that this was an amazing idea. We were hesitant at first because, some of the feedback is, aren't you shooting yourselves in the foot? Well, we just found and discovered after all our research that people are going to choose their person and they're not going to change their mind. So why would we not help them do an amazing job? If I'm not going to be your officiant and Kathy's not going to be your officiant and another professional is not going to be your officiant, then we want to help that special person do an amazing job. That's what this program is going to do. That's what we set out to do. I mean, that's our goal because of all of the, and it's not just so many nightmares that we've heard, but it's just a lot of, it was okay.
Just okay. And you're like, well, don't you want to be more than that? okay.
And it's just a fabulous, it's an amazing day, and you want it to be an amazing experience, no matter who's going to be your officiate. So again, and there's all kinds of other things involved in it, the legal aspect of it, the signing of the license, and, there's laws and rules that come into effect that maybe the typical person would not research or know about or not be involved in. So those are the things that, we want to say, yes, you did get legally married because here is the rules and the laws of, in your state, because, you can't just obviously go online in every state and get ordained. There are some that don't allow it.
At least in the state of Connecticut, we're starting with the education piece, but we love to kind of steer people in a way in which, okay, if you want to do this, let us do the license signing for you. We'll square away the legal stuff for you. And we'll train your person. And now your person is performing a symbolic ceremony. And they don't have to get ordained, and they don't have to mail your license, and you don't have to worry about them losing it in their car between the seats. And now you're not actually legally married. That would probably be a nice compromise between the two things.
I was going to ask, if a mistake was made in the legalities of the pre-ceremony, is it very possible that the couple could end up not legally married because of a mistake made by a novice?
Yeah, it absolutely could. I mean, not necessarily because of something that is said in the ceremony, because there really isn't a ton of things that that you have to do. I mean, you have to have them, out loud say that, well, actually, that's it. That's incorrect. It's inaccurate. I'm a member of the JPUS Association, and the director who's involved in that was very close to our legislature in Connecticut. She informed me there actually is no requirement in terms of hearing a couple's declaration. So, for example, if I were to meet a couple at town hall, and then I would say, do you want to marry her? Do you want to marry him? If they just nod at me, that's enough. Like, they don't have to verbally. I always thought they had to verbally out loud say, so you could be the witness to that affirmation. There's nothing in the law that says they do, which is a little bit hilarious.
So as long as the groom is not there shackled with a mask over his face and the dad holding a gun to his head, it's nod and you're good, right?
Right, exactly. But the issue with the guest officiant of things maybe going wrong legally is whether or not they're signing the license properly, they're returning it in a timely manner, they're returning it at all, they're mailing it to the correct town clerk. It's kind of funny. Like, there's not really that much. It's really easy to get married in the state of Connecticut. There's no wedding. There's no waiting period. There's just a small amount of stuff to fill out at the bottom for the officiant, but it still gets messed up because it's not something that a layperson does regularly. So, I mean, that's, to me, and Shell, please chime in, like, that's just a small part of it. Like, we could take that piece off of their hands. The bigger part is the ceremony itself and delivering something that is interesting and engaging. One of the comments that we got recently from a wedding planner is that a lot of the guest officiant ceremonies sound like eulogies because they are only really close to one half of the couple. And so they just deliver their memories of this one person. And then they sort of sneak in the moment in the timeline when the other person showed up. And then they move on to the vows and it's over. And so it just feels very disconnected and
improperly written love story because they talking about their friend, the groom, and all the good times they had. And then, oh yeah, and by the way, Lisa, she's cool. She's great.
Right, which is almost like, I'm sure you've heard at the reception, it's more like a toast. Like, this is more a one-sided speech, you giving about your friend. That's for the reception. That's not for the ceremony.
Right. So, Shell, I'm going to have you talk about this here. Your program is the live online bootcamp course. So let's talk a little bit about that, what it is, and what someone who's taking the course is going to be able to get.
Okay, so Kathy and I, after much research, we sat down and we said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to offer a wedding officiant bootcamp. And it's a ceremony workshop for the guest officiant, your bestie, aunt, uncle, cousin, brother, whoever you're looking for to officiate your wedding ceremony. And it is a complete ceremony writing workshop. And, The workshop is for someone who has little to no experience officiating a wedding ceremony, people who benefit from group style learning because it is live, someone who would like a helpful jumpstart on the writing process. And it's a 90-minute workshop Zoom class. You're going to have Kathy and I, the two wedding officiants. We have 20 years experience combined. And, it includes a live brainstorm session with, students to help with, we're going to help them with writing ideas. We're going to provide some templates to make the interviewing their couple love story portion of the ceremony a bit easier. The thing that it's going to allow your guest officiant to learn would be all the parts of a typical wedding ceremony, how to add and direct meaningful rituals, unity ceremonies to incorporate those things, like candle lighting, sand pouring. We've had some shots, alcoholic beverages involved in those, hand fasting, how to manage the wedding party and roles of anyone else that's involved in the ceremony, which includes readers, family members, and things like that, which we feel is truly, truly important because, a lot of times when you're up there, people will come up and look at you like you're supposed to know what they're doing, where they're sitting, where they're going. So you really have to know these moving parts, how to coordinate with all the professionals like yourself, the DJs, because I come and chat with you all the time about what's going on with the ceremony and getting mic'd, where's our cue,
doing
what
a
our
sound check.
Yep, doing a sound check, all the moving parts, how long the ceremony is and things like that. Same thing with the photographers and videographers, just being courtesy and working together as a team. So, after the workshop, we feel that, your friend or family member will 100% understand how to smoothly transition from one part of the wedding ceremony to the next. And most of all, they will be able to create an engaging and memorable experience for everyone. And really, that's what, our main goal is. We have upcoming classes in February, March. We'll be adding them, based upon, the need. And we're just really, really excited to be offering, this course because not just because we thought it's needed, we know it's needed. So, Kath, do you have anything to add to it?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I'm excited most about this course is that we're splitting it down the middle between, like Shelly described, the obvious stuff, right? The literal outline of the ceremony. This is what a typical ceremony looks like in terms of having an opening welcome, maybe thanking all the guests, not just diving straight into this love story, but really having all the parts, discussed thoroughly. But then having the second half of the course being this writing workshop. And one of the reasons why we wanted to put this in is not only is the trend of using a guest officiant on the rise, but the instances of professionals getting last minute calls from couples who said, we asked a friend and they backed out. Are you still available? The wedding is next month. That's on the rise. And it's happening because the folks say yes to this wonderful honor, but then they start to dig into what's involved and they get overwhelmed and they get cold feet and they say to their friends, I'm sorry, I can't do this. And now that couple is scrambling at the last second. So we kind of felt like if we offered an opportunity within this workshop to now say, okay, now you know the obvious bones. Let's talk about your couple. Let's start to give you some ideas about themes or jumpstart your writing. And that might help the accountability a little bit. If that rips the Band-Aid off to get their writing juices going, then maybe they won't leave things to the last minute and their couple can have some assurances that they will actually get it done and they'll be there.
So how can somebody who is hearing this podcast saying, I like the idea, whether it's, for my friend who I'd like to have officiate the wedding, or, hey, I've got to do a wedding. This is a great opportunity. How do they sign up and what do they need to go about to get into the course?
So right now, because we are just starting out, we're keeping it very low tech, which means all you have to do is send us an email at officiantcoaches@gmail.com and let us know that you're interested. If many people have, Shell and I are working the wedding show circuit pretty hard this season. Mm-hmm. So a lot of couples are getting literature from us about this. But we have classes coming up February 11th, March 21st, April 14th, and May 7th. We've alternated them between a Thursday evening and a Sunday day time slot to make it a little flexible for everybody. You just email us, let us know which one you're interested in. We'll just do a Venmo exchange. Just wanted to keep it low tech and not be worrying about websites and things right now. And then what we'll do is once you're paid, you'll get provided with sample questions to interview your couple and sort of like a tip sheet and a writing template that you'll be able to use later on after the course is over. And the reason why I wanted to give those questions ahead of time is so if they are able to maybe talk to their couple before the course, then that's more info they bring into that workshop piece, that brainstorm piece, where they can have us and their classmates say, oh, my friends are college sweethearts, or they're really into travel, or they like video games. More brains to help, the creative juices for giving suggestions.
Well, I think, this course is going to help people who think or suggest to others that, oh yeah, I just did some Googling and I'm looking on AI and I'm going to write a speech and I'm just going to show up and everything's going to be great. So I want people to keep in mind that, this is a live course, live workshop to where it's interactive. We're going to be able to, talk about the things that come up, the questions that they have. And it's just not something that we were willing to compromise on and put out in a 15-minute video that you buy for, $99 or $500 or $400, because we thought this would be a little more beneficial to, the guest officiant that's wanting to create, an amazing experience for their couple.
Give the email one more time. I'm going to put it in the show notes as well, but email one more time, please.
Sure. That's officiantcoaches@gmail. So OFFICIATANT. I'm not going to spell this. coaches@gmail.com. You can also, if you screw up on that, you can also reach either Shelly or me on Instagram at EA Ceremonies is me, and Shell is Married by Shelly.
Yeah, I'll put them in the show notes. I'm glad you spelled officiant because you never know.
Yeah, I got to the end. I'm like, my face is looking at this word. I don't think I'm making these letters correctly.
It's really an awesome idea to do this to help improve the weddings and the quality and just making life a little easier for people. You're going to definitely save some people a lot of stress. So I wish you nothing but the best. So Kathy, thank you. Shelly, thank you very much. Yeah, we'll put this up on the social media and make sure everybody knows about it. Kathy, I'll make sure I have the batteries in the microphone.
I have no doubt.
And the speaker's not on fire. So yeah, everything will be good on our end.
That's a plus.
That's
and
it.
then when everyone stands, make sure that you can see me and I can see you for the signal.
That's right. We know the signals. Ladies, thank you so much. Very successful and healthy. To talk about healthy, Shelly and I have both been sick. A healthy 2024. It's got to get better, right, Shelly?
Yes, it will get better.
Ladies, thank you so much. We'll see you out there at the next wedding.
Thank you so much.
This here is a remarkable,
The Wedding of Distinction podcast is a production of Music and Motion Entertainment. All rights reserved. Any unauthorized publication of this program is strictly prohibited. For the Wedding of Distinction podcast, I'm Mike Vincent. Happy wedding planning, everybody.
Come on.